Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's another time that we are here once again with a nice content and just an highlight to those that have subscribed to my channel. Thank you so much. And to those that have not, I believe that you will do so. Otherwise, without much further ado, allow me to welcome to you the guest of today. He is already here, so you can just let us know who he is and so that we can move together after knowing who we have here today.
So I thank God for this opportunity. I'm Pastor John Otiti. I'm married to one wife, who is Anne Otiti, the mother of my two boys.
Wow, so you have two boys?
Yes.
Okay, sawa. So guys, today here we have Pastor John, and he's just going to share with us something that I heard him sharing somewhere, and I felt that it can be of help. You remember, our main goal in this, our channel, is always to inspire and to motivate and help people see that there's always something more than what they only see. So Pastor John, karibu sana. And today we are just going to speak about his relationship journey and how he came even to the wedding preparation and even getting married. I don't want to go so far because you see, Nisha and a story, so nice a split. So Pastor John, let us just start this journey with you together. Just let us know more. Yeah,
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and even further making me to come over to this platform. I can remember it was 2007. That is the year that I cannot forget. That's when we got married. But before then, there were a lot of preparation that had to take place. Number one, let me begin from courtship. We courted for about 3 years. Then after that, we began the journey of now getting married. For we know that marriage is one of the oldest institutions that God himself ordained. So our first attempt was when we went for introduction. I can remember that very day when we went for an introduction. I had called a few friends to accompany me to my friend's home. And as we were going there, we had no money. We were just I was just going by faith because I knew that after I have sought the Lord, because the Bible says that seek the Lord with all your heart and all these other things shall be added unto you. So as we were just going, before we reached to our home, a friend asked and said, now, how are we going to go? They say, we are just going by faith. But as we discussed a little bit, another friend called and told he wanted to find out where we have reached. And I said we are in this certain town, and he told me that wait for just a moment so that we can put our heads together and before we go to the home. So this other friend came, and that's when he said, now we cannot just go like this. We can just
how
go.
How many were you, Pastor?
We were about 6 of us, 2 ladies.
Did all of them have faith?
Now, the challenge was, it was me who was I was the one taking them to my in-laws to be. So, when this other friend came, he told me we cannot go just like that. And now we went to a nearby market, we bought some items at least, so that when we go to the home, they can see that they have not come empty-handed. That is how our first experience, our first day happened. Then after when we went, we met the family members, the father, and now the father gave us the requirements so that we have to meet before we get married. So the first thing I was told that I was to buy a tank of water, because now I'm getting married to a person who used to fetch water to the family. Number 2, I was told that I was to pay 100 goats. And having come from the other western part of Kenya, and she's from central part of Kenya, we had a little bit some misunderstanding, because for me I knew A goat in our place used to go for about 2,500, but in this other it is about 7 to 8,000. So when we did a little bit of mathematics, I knew that these people are asking about almost 700,000 shillings. But that one did not discourage me, because I knew that this was my time and it was a season. We had prayed and believed God that everything is going to be possible. So when I shared with my parents were
So it
not.
was only goats or other things?
Yeah, now they were saying that we have to buy 100 goats plus other requirements.
Okay.
There are other things that we needed to give to the aunts, the grandfather, the grandparents. So there were so many things. So when I went and I shared it to my parents, one of the things my parents did not agree with me, because one, I'm from Western Kenya, she's from Central Kenya. So we people from Western Kenya, we are not supposed to marry people from Central Kenya. And now, even during that season, it was a season whereby we had a lot of activities, because it was a year of election, and we had a great challenge between, or difference between, the Luos and the Kikuyus. So they thought that anyone from the other side, it is a Luo, and this other central part are Kikuyus. So Luos and the Kikuyus, they were not supposed to intermarry. So then my father told me, you can go ahead with your own things, we are not for that. So I went back and I sat down, went to my pastor then, told him how it has happened. The pastor told me it's okay. Now we began the journey of forming the committee that is going to lead us and guide us in the preparation of this marriage. Surprisingly, that after we had just formed the committee, the pastor went back and he incited the officials, of which the first meeting, the chairperson was present. The second meeting, the chairperson missed until the last time. So I remember the second meeting I chaired it myself, because I knew that this is a journey and it is a battle that I have to fight. So after I chaired the meeting, we proposed and we suggested somebody else to come and step in, because now things have already begun to move. So we set the dates of going for the dowry negotiation, and we began moving towards achieving all that is required to make sure that we have a very successful wedding. The surprising part was that all these things were happening. In my pocket, I was penniless. I had no money. I just knew there's a bank, but I didn't have a bank account in any of the banks. So all that I was doing it by faith. So when we kept on moving forward and planning our things, we thought of having a pre-wedding. And now again I reached to my pastor and we shared the story. But the challenge was, even my pastor was seeing this thing is not going to work. Because I remember when he told me, what about if it does not work? What is it going to happen? That's when I came up with these words that I do say, the power of the spoken word. Because some of the times you hear words that they have been spoken about your life, and now those words are controlling and dictating how your life is going to be. I asked my pastor, what about it if it happens? Because for you are saying, what about if it does not happen? So when we had that kind of discussion, the pastor said, it's okay, you go ahead with your things, we are praying with you. But I realized in the first scenario whereby he incited the officials and some of them left up to today. And now he says that he is praying. That's when I came to realize, and no, not everyone that who says that is praying with you really is praying with you. So I'm just encouraging those brothers and sisters who are intending to get into this thing, knowing that marriage is sweet and it is workable. If you can put all your strength and your efforts together. You don't need to have money to marry. You only need to have God. And after you have sought God and you have found Him, He will make everything possible for you. So when we began now preparing for the pre-wedding, this is now when I can say things went haywire. Because what I was expecting and the people I thought that they would be the ones to stand with me during this season, most of them, they didn't turn up. The ones even I invited as my guest of honors on the pre-wedding day, most of them didn't turn up. I can remember there's only about 2 people who came for my pre-wedding, but I had invited about 12.
A whole pre-wedding?
Yes. The 2 people were the guests of honors. So I had invited about 12 of them because I wanted to be very sure that is the only time that we are going to raise this enough money to ensure that we have paid our dowry and we have been left with some money to finish the remaining part of the wedding. So when we did our pre-wedding, we managed to raise about 27,000 shillings.
With the 2 people?
Yes.
Okay.
We managed to raise.
Those people are good.
We managed to raise 27,000 shillings. And now, what happened next was that the 27,000 shillings was supposed to help me pay my dowry, at the same time help me facilitate and make sure that everything has happened well as we move towards our wedding day. So we went for the dowry negotiation, or the dates that we had already set, and we paid some money, of which it was not accepted, because they said, first, what you have done, it is like you have come for another second introduction, because their expectation was high, and what we had, it was very little. To an extent whereby even myself, I felt it, that this was not what I was supposed to pay for my dowry. So as we continued talking and discussing, trying to reach and find out ways how we can be able to make sure that everything has moved the way that it's supposed to move, I found a friend who stood closer to me than a brother. And when this friend shared...
Before you share with us about your friend, you've been speaking about you. Now maybe just to clarify, because most of the times, from the little experience that I have, mostly brothers are the ones who usually have faith and push things, and ladies sometimes awaletwangi kwa picha sana. So for you, because you are here and you are sharing with us, and this video is going to be watched with both the ladies and the men that are trusting God to wed or to walk a righteous journey up to their last day. Maybe you can just share with us hapo kwa duration, what was the experience of the other party, between the 2 of you? Between
the 2 of us, after we had courted for about 3 years, and all of us, we were convinced, and we thought that now this was our time, and we are not going to waste any more time. We agreed, one of the things we agreed, that we are going to stand shoulder to shoulder. When it comes to our path, I defend her. When it comes to their path, she is also supposed to defend me. And that's how we managed. Even with the little money that we had, we were able to convince my in-laws from both ends to accept what we had. And my spouse played a great role, because when she saw that things were not moving the way that they're supposed to move, she stood on her ground and she supported me fully. She came to a point whereby she was ready to do whatever it takes to make sure that this wedding succeeds. So it is also good, my brothers and my sisters, as you go into this thing to have, both of you are ready to fight this battle until the end, because by the end of it all, it is going to be a success for both a man or a woman, or both a gentleman or a lady. So that is how we manage to succeed.
Okay. And what of the financial state? What of the ladies? Like you as Spain, you didn't have a penny, meaning that your financial dimension was not that good. What of the ladies' dimension of financial state?
Actually, by that time, my wife, she was employed and she was working, and she played a very critical role. I remember there was a time she had to give her money so that I may not be ashamed. That is how she supported me. What happened to me, and I found myself in this thing, the moment that I made a decision to get married, that is the time I lost my job. So when I lost my job, there was no any way that I can be able to have money. And even I shared it to her. I told her, now we are beginning this journey, and this has already happened to me. How is it going to happen? How is it going to happen? And she said, we are going to walk together, shoulder to shoulder. Okay. And that is the time when I had, what she has is mine, and what I have is hers.
So it shows that she was aware of your financial state,
yes,
even before this journey. It's not like ulikuwa cover up, letting, like you are trying to make her know that you are okay and you can enter this. Then later on she realizes there is a problem, there is no finance with this guy. So it's something that was made plain even before starting the journey.
Yes, that is why I can say it is good to just keep yourself open. Let your partner know how are your financial status, because most of the people hide, and in the process of hiding, you find yourself, you are in a ditch where you cannot be able to come up. But once the other partner knows, this is how my partner is, and this is how his or her financial status are, you will be able to complement and work your ways together, and you find yourself on the other side being great, successful men and women of God.
Wow, that's powerful. So you can continue. I just wanted for you to highlight that on the part of your wife, so that we can just not be speaking of you and maybe the lady saying, no, the guy just spoke of himself. So we wanted just to know both parties and understand that this thing was for the two of you.
Yes. Yeah. So thank you so much. And I was also to emphasize that relationship, it takes two people to build. It is not a one-man show. When it comes from both of you, you can be able to have enough strength to face whatever challenge will be able to come your way. So before we discuss what we have just discussed, I was saying, now when we saw what we have done and where we are almost going, a friend came and he stood beside us. This is the person that I still recognize and respect him up to date. 15 years down the line, this man came and told me, even though your parents have refused to stand with you, we will stand with you. And I remember one morning when we had already gone for the dowry negotiation, we are now trying to finalize things, and all of a sudden I found myself being admitted in one of the hospitals. So when he called and he realized that I'm in the hospital, he came all over to the hospital and he told me, John, we are going to stand with you. And
so you were sick in the process of preparing for the wedding?
Yes, I was sick. The reason why I was sick, it was because I'm trying to make things move. And now I'm stressed beyond my own ability. One, my sister, your parents, they are nowhere to be seen. They have not stood with you, whether from the negotiation all the way. They are just there. They are just parents. But there is no even a little support they have given you. And they have said, this is your thing. So you do your thing. So after sitting down and thinking and going through all those things, I found myself being admitted in the hospital.
Okay, so another concern being that this thing was stressing you to a point of even being sick. Something is coming into my mind. Was it a must that you were to wed? Like, I do hear some people say you can just be prayed for if the finances are not there. You can just be prayed for and just start your marriage because you've been, like, the most important thing is to ordain the marriage. For you, what was the take? Was that wedding so important, or what was pushing you that hard?
Well, number one thing that you need to understand, the standards that you set will determine how your future life is going to be. I come from a family whereby from my mother's line to my father's line, none of them have ever done that marriage. That's a holy wedding. So all of them, they have done what we call come and we stay, come we stay, or come and we see. But for me, I wanted to do something differently. And now knowing that there are power, that is their power that is speaking against what I'm trying to introduce into this family. My father has about 7 brothers, and all the 7 brothers, none of them have ever done a holy wedding, including even my father. Go to my mother, they will also have the same. And I come to my wife's place, I can see the same patterns. And here I realized I had to push hard so that I can break this ceiling and let it be a season that we can now say we are now free. And those people
it's a season of bringing freedom in families, okay?
Yeah, so that those ones who will be able to come after us, they will not need to struggle the way we struggle. So that's why I found myself being admitted in the hospital.
Okay.
So this friend, when he came, now you know that we are left with about 2 weeks to go to the wedding. Things have the time has just gone very fast. And this man came and told me, you know what? We are going to stand with you. I'm like, yes. I have heard so many people say they are going to stand with me. But out of this experience that I have gone through, I can tell the people that I thought that they will be able to stand with me, they are nowhere to be seen. So how sure am I to believe in this one who says that I'm going to stand with you? For sure, when that night when I was in the hospital, I just whispered a prayer and asked God to intervene in my case. So I stayed in the hospital for almost 7 days, and I was coming from the hospital when I'm only left with 1 week to get into our wedding day. And now I'm trying to move, even though I don't have strength to move, because somebody who has been admitted, he does not have strength even to move around. But also remember, this is the time that my time is the clock is ticking so fast. And both parents have decided that we do away with this thing. We postponed it. But I persisted and I said, even if I will be taken from the hospital with an ambulance to the venue where my wedding is going to take place, then after that procession or after that ceremony, that I may be taken back to the ward. That one will be better than postponing it. That is how serious it was. So when I was now trying to fix things, I'm still weak. My spouse, my friend, he's down there because the money that we had left, we have already paid. We have already paid a hospital bill, and this man, where he was working, he was sacked. He has no house.
And you want to start a family.
And I want to start a family. So I'm in this thing, no matter how it might look like. I don't have a house. From the hospital, I don't know where I'm going.
Where are you living?
I didn't have a house because there before I was employed. But after when I was sacked, I was not supposed to go back there anymore. So when I came from hospital. Now I say, now this thing, it has to work.
So where are you living?
Now we are left, my sister, with about few days to go. Not even weeks. I can say it was almost about 7 days to go. When I was coming, my wife to be chose to give a house to me so that she can look for a place, at least to stay with a friend for these remaining days. That is how I found myself staying in her house, while for her she went and stayed with somebody else. So I stayed there until the day of my wedding. But before then, when we were almost...
Okay, by then were you a pastor?
By that time I was not yet in full-time ministry, but I had already received the call.
Okay.
I was not in full-time ministry.
So you had a conscience that one day you'll be a pastor?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
That one I knew without any doubt that a time will come when I will be a pastor one time. So before now we reach to the D-Day of this wedding, there were bills that needs to be taken care of. Bearing in mind this is somebody from the hospital. Number one, he has no job. Number two, I don't have an account that I can go to the bank and withdraw some cash and come and clear some bills. I'm in that house, which is also not my house.
And your girl is living at someone's place.
So my friend has gone to live with a friend. Now we are in that dilemma. But what I thank God for was that my friend was very determined and she was very strong, knowing that one day we shall overcome it. So this friend who came and told me, we are going to stand with you. One morning he called me when I'm only left with 2 days to go. He asked me a question. John, are you still having that wedding? And I said yes. I said it in the hospital. Even if I have to be taken to the venue and be brought back to the hospital ward, I have no problem. But this wedding will not be cancelled. People thought that it's not going to happen. But for us, we were determined and we knew that this was our season. So when he called me, he told me, I'm in the bank. What is it that you want? And what clicked?
You don't have a bank account.
I don't have a bank account. And this man is telling me he is in the bank. What is it that I need? So I told him, will you be able to get all the money that is in the bank? Because that is all that I need to clear my bills. All that we had, we have already paid the hospital bill. And even where I'm staying today, it is not my own house. Even if I have to, if this wedding happens, I don't know where will I be able to take my wife. So the man just laughed and he told me, give me a few minutes, I will be in that place. And he told me, where are you? I said, I stay near High Point, about 100 meters from High Point stage. So the man drove all over and he came with money in his wallet. He gave me money. And when I was given this money, he told me, will this money be enough to take care of your bills? I said yes, because I know my God had just done what? Come. So he gave me about 20,000 shillings. I went on.
Then 20,000 shillings was a good money.
Yeah, by that time 20,000 shillings, you cannot compare 20,000 shillings 2007 and 20,000 shillings 2022. There's a great difference. So when he gave me 20,000 shillings, I realized even my wife to be does not have a gown. Number two, her personal effects, they were not there. So I made a call because she had already gone to work, and I told her, will you be able please to come very fast, because I want you to pick your dress. And she told me, where have you gotten money? I said, you don't need to ask where I have gotten money.
Just
all that you need to do, it is to come. So for sure when she came, I gave her money. She went and collected her gown. She went and bought her shoes. And in the process, things began to move so fast than when I thought before. So what happened, when people saw there is somebody with a very good salon, and when she saw her coming with a gown, she asked, who is doing the makeup for you? And she said, I do not even have money to do the makeups. The lady said, no, I'm going to do it for you for free. So all that you need to do, come with your mates at that time and avail yourself. I'm going to do that. So that is when now things just began to move for me. And then as we are still digesting that kind of a miracle, another one came. Another pastor called me and he told me, how many cars do you need on your wedding day?
Okay.
So when I said I need about 8 cars, and he told me I do have about 3 cars in my house, and we can talk to our friends who do have cars, so that we can at least have the 8 cars that you need. So when I was still thinking about that kind of a miracle, because the first miracle has just taken place, the second miracle has just taken place. So I'm just seated in my house and now thinking about what God is doing. Remember, the 20,000 shillings is not yet over. And my friend told me, don't use all the money. Keep some money in your pocket so that after the wedding you can at least go somewhere with your wife for 2-3 days, and then after that you can come back to your house. So there were people who saw me there before I was working in a children's home, and this organization, Barclays Bank Juja, they had come to visit the children. And when they heard that I was the one doing the wedding, the manager knew that I had been sacked. Number 2, he saw what I was doing, because my work in the children's home was to make sure that the daily activities of the home ran smoothly, from waking up the children, making sure that they have done their responsibilities, their duties, ensuring that they have gone to school, preparing meals and taking and going to serve in school during lunchtime, coming back with those utensils and making sure that they have been cleaned before they come back in the evening. Because when they come in the evening, there are also some other things, and there are some responsibilities. So when this lady knew that I'm doing the wedding, number 2, I've been sacked in my place of work. He made a call and he called me and he said, John, we have heard that you have been sacked. Number 2, you are going to do your wedding. And now as we talk, we are only left with 3 days to go. What is it that you need that we may be able to help you? So I told her I need my house because I don't have a house. I don't have a house. So when she said, what do you mean that you need a house? I said, I've been staying in somebody's house, and if the wedding happens this Saturday, I don't know where to take my wife because I don't have a house. So that lady sent one of the workers from Barclays Bank, Juja, and that man came and gave me 10,000 shillings. The 10,000 shillings was to pay my house rent, and on that day they will be there for that occasion. So what I'm saying is that once you have trusted God, you have sought God, all these other things will come your way. So when all these things are happening, my parents who say that is your thing, after they have now seen things are working, they came because they saw now everything is moving very fast. So the 3 days, that was on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So Saturday morning, we were now it was now the wedding day. And what very energetic, ready to get married. And we went to our venue. It was Dayspring. That's where we did our wedding. And all the 8 vehicles came.
Wow.
The surprising part of it, that none of them asked for fuel. Nobody, not even one. Every person who brought his or her car there,
Came with fuel.
it came with the fuel. It came with the fuel. Now I have a house because I've been given money
10,000.
to rent a house.
Yeah.
I have some money that after the wedding, I will take my wife somewhere, at least for 2-3 days, so that after that we shall come back and move on with life. So when we now prepare ourselves according to our culture, the man who is getting married is not supposed to go to his spouse to place. So for me, I was told to stay in the church, the place where the venue where this wedding was supposed to take place.
Okay, and just a concern, as we started, you mentioned that your pastor was inciting people. Is this the same pastor that wedded you guys?
No, after now I realized that there is a war in between me and my pastor. I had to look for another pastor.
Oh, okay.
And that's why we found ourselves in Dayspring. Dayspring is a school, it is not a church. So when I went and I talked to the principal gave us a go-ahead to use the facility. And he provided seats and all the things that we needed. And this other pastor, because that's when I realized the reason behind the war in between I and him, it was because I was in the same church with his blood brother who was of age, and he was supposed to get married to this sister.
Hey,
And this sister was supposed to be married to his brother, not me. That is how it was. Because I remember even the time that we were going for marital counseling. I remember when I was told that you come at this specific time, and this other person will come at this specific time. So when we saw this, we discussed, the two of us, and we said, if it is marital counseling, it is supposed to be done when both of us we are present. Because when I go, she talks about the negative path of my friend, and when my friend comes, she talks about the negative path of me. And I realize if we continue with this kind of marital counseling, we shall not be able to get married. And I chose, because now, having been born again for a long period of time, and even getting involved in ministry, I knew many pastors, and I thought of going to look for another pastor from another church who will be able to come and officiate our wedding, because already I had already seen a danger here. So that's how we approached a pastor friend who accepted to be our officiator on this specific day. So when now the day of the wedding came, the same pastor and the people who are not willing to stand with us, who are not there to support us, they came, not that because they were coming to celebrate, they were coming to witness how we are going to fail terribly. How we are going to fail terribly. But I thank God when they saw how the wedding was. By the way, on that very morning, that Saturday, there is a lady who just came and she volunteered to be our matron. And in the process of volunteering, he had already bought a flower that to be put in my wife's car. And she had brought all these other things to beautify and make everything look perfect. So when they came, they saw. I just want to go back a little bit before we reach to the end. It is that when that Saturday, that morning, this was a day that I was supposed to get married. Remember, I said the day before that from our culture, we don't go to our in-laws. You wait until when your wife is being brought. But that day, because of the pressure that we had gone together, I saw there's a need for me to go.
So you went.
So when I sent my parents, they left very early in the morning. Around 11, nothing seems to happen. So on this other end, my in-laws are saying they are not going to hand their girl to anyone else apart from the person that is going to get married to. So I had to go from
So
it.
that is their culture.
That is their culture.
Uh-huh.
So that is how I found myself at my in-laws' place on Saturday morning. That is, now when I reached there, the time had already gone, because I left the church venue at 11. I was arriving there almost 2. So they have sung all sorts of songs. Nothing seems to work. So when I went there, the lady had waited for a very long time and nothing is happening. But I thank God, because the moment the father saw me, he said, now we can move ahead, because they have seen the person that is going to bury their daughter. So from there, now we came to the church venue. Everything moved smoothly, but we rushed because of the time. And finally, we got married.
Wow, glory to God.
We got married. So from that day to date, what I went through, I thank God I went through that, because I can be an encourager. We have stood, I think by this time, we have stood with people, if I'm not wrong, about 4 weddings. People whom they have been discouraged. People who thought that they are not going to make it. People who thought they don't have money. But now I can say surely they have made it. My encouragement to any listener and any person in this platform, that all that you need, it is not money. All that we need, it is to have a relationship with God. And God will bring those other things. He brought it to us. Today we are celebrating, by the end of this year, December 15th, we shall be celebrating 15 years in marriage.
What?
And the Lord has blessed us with 2 sons. And our son, the eldest son, is 12 years. The other one is 6 years. So we really thank God.
Wow. Guys, me, I'm short of words. I feel so much encouraged, and I believe someone is encouraged somewhere too. Otherwise, thank you so much, Pastor John, for accepting to come to our platform. It is a great honor, and we are so much humbled. May the Lord bless you and give you the capacity to continue encouraging young souls and just helping them understand that it is not all about money, but it is how you relate with God. Otherwise, guys, thank you so much for taking your time to follow this video. And just a reminder for them that have not subscribed, please just click the subscribe button so that our channel can grow as we grow together and as we purpose to bring more content. Thank you so much, and have a nice day even as you continue with your daily endeavors.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.